PBS Hawaii, home is here.
My first paying gig was when I was 15. Every weekend we played and they paid us $5. That's a lot of money in those days.
Ota-san, Virtuosity and Legacy, tonight at 8:30.
On American Experience,
Busing will never work in this city. Never.
the decades-long struggle to integrate Boston schools.
I can remember it was an angry, angry time.
I went up to Southie High. We all knew something was going to happen.
The crowd was so violent. All I could think of was what would happen if I didn't make it to the bus.
It was the saddest day in Boston's history.
The busing battleground on American Experience.
Monday on PBS Hawaii, home is here.
You're watching PBS Hawaii, supported by viewers like you. It's not just storytelling, it's an experience. PBS Hawaii, home is here.
Local broadcasts of Insights on PBS Hawaii are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo, and by First Insurance Company of Hawaii, protecting Hawaii's families and businesses since 1911. Ulupono Initiative, building a more sustainable Hawaii by investing in local food, renewable energy, clean transportation, and waste and freshwater management. Hawaiian Electric. To learn about our commitment to sustainability and reducing carbon emissions, visit hawaiianelectric.com/sustainability. Carl Smith Ball, providing legal services throughout Hawaii and the Pacific since 1857, making a positive difference in the communities where we live and work. Hawaii has 83,000 cesspools, more than any other state. 6 years ago, Hawaii mandated the removal of all cesspools by 2050. In 2005, the Environmental Protection Agency actually banned large-capacity cesspools, but many continue to operate. What still needs to happen to clean up these areas? Is Hawaii on schedule to fix its cesspool problem? Join the conversation on the next Insights on PBS Hawaii.
Aloha and welcome to Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Daryl Huff. According to the Health Department, Hawaii has as many as 83,000 active cesspools statewide, many of them serving private homes. Cesspools are responsible for releasing up to 53 million gallons of untreated sewage that ends up in our island's soils, streams, and nearshore waters every day. The state has an official goal to replace all of its cesspools by 2050 with more sanitary sewage treatment systems that cause less harm to the environment. Is the state on schedule to meet the 2050 deadline? And considering the environmental and health risks, is that deadline even soon enough? We look forward to your participation in tonight's show. You can email or call in your questions, and you'll find a live stream of this program at pbshawaii.org and the PBS Hawaii Facebook page. Now to our guests. Sina Pruder has worked in the Department of Health's wastewater branch for the last 29 years, where she is currently the branch chief. Her branch is responsible for regulating on-site wastewater systems, including cesspools. Ramsey Mansour is the director of the Department of Environmental Management for the County of Hawaii. He previously was a member of the Cesspool Conversion Working Group and served as the chief of wastewater treatment and disposal for the City and County of Honolulu. Dottie Kelly Paddock is on the Ko'olauloa Neighborhood Board and is the president of the Hau'ula Community Association. She's also the executive director of the nonprofit Hui o Hau'ula. Stuart Coleman is the executive director and co-founder of WHY, Wastewater Alternatives and Innovations, a nonprofit that helps residents find wastewater solutions. It's a nonprofit which is partially funded by Wastewater Solution Company. And let me start off with Sina Pruder. These numbers, 83,000 cesspools, 53 million gallons of untreated sewage. What's the mechanism? I mean, how does a cesspool work or not work? It sounds like, is it just a hole in the ground that you pour sewage into? And hope that it doesn't do any damage?
Yeah, so like cesspools were actually constructed like in the 40s, 50s, and it's pretty much just a hole in the ground. This is the type of technology that you find in undeveloped countries. And they're, so you either have like a cesspool or you actually have just a pipe, discharging raw sewage, into streams and the ocean. So, so like for us, a cesspool is just a hole that was dug into the ground, and raw sewage is just actually getting discharged into the cesspool. And when you're like close to the ocean, or to a stream or to a drinking water source, the sewage can just actually, get discharged into the cesspool and then into the groundwater, which actually feeds into, these, ocean and the streams, and ending up contaminating it.
Does the soil capture it or filter it or anything like that? Or is it, when we talk about raw sewage going into, say, the nearshore water or a stream, I mean, is it filtered? Is there any function of going through the ground that makes it less harmful?
Well, the closer you are to the ocean, most, if not all, cesspools actually are in groundwater. So there actually is no soil. So when wastewater is actually discharged into a cesspool, it just discharges into groundwater, no soil treatment, and then from the groundwater it actually, transfers, into the stream or into the ocean or even into our drinking water aquifer.
Stuart Coleman, this strikes me as we were so alarmed about the Red Hill tanks over our aquifers. We were alarmed when a government sewage treatment plant dumps some treated sewage into the ocean. This sounds like an environmental nightmare. Why is it even safe to swim in the ocean when this is going on?
Yeah, I came from an area where we didn't even have cesspools, so I didn't know. And when I was working at the Surfrider Foundation, I started working with Ted Boland, who used to be a deputy AG working with the Department of Health, and he kind of, told me about it, and I started working with Ted and Sina and a coalition of groups to say, like, this is crazy. We've got to stop this, because nobody really knew how bad a problem it was. But yeah, as you mentioned earlier, we have the most cesspools per capita in the entire country. And I think once people learn about them, they realize, like, oh yeah, we need to do something about this, because we were the last state to ban them by over 3.5 decades.
Ramsey Bonser from the Big Island and formerly from Honolulu, working in these wastewater systems. Why is it like this? Why hasn't government responded long ago to this? And why do we, and on the Big Island, you have more than almost any other island, right? So why are we in this situation?
It's cost and accountability. They both come hand in hand. The cost of waste treatment system, especially here in the state of Hawaii, is very, very costly. In addition, I just want to add something to what Sina has stated. Back in the old days, right, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, we didn't have the chemicals that we have now. So now everything gets flushed through a toilet, through your sinks. So, and that adds more to the pollution, because chemicals are very hazardous, certain chemicals that could make it to our groundwater.
Like cleaning chemicals that we flush?
Cleaning chemicals, pharmaceutical. Even nowadays, everybody got garbage disposal in their kitchen. Even food get grinded up and end up making it to the cesspool.
That's right. Any house, all the wastewater ends up basically in the same pipe.
Into the same pipe, into the same hole, into the ground, into the same groundwater that potentially we may pull out to drink. Okay. Complicated, but the wastewater in general, you're right, we should all be connected to a treatment wastewater facility. That way you get the commercial, you get the industrial, and the residential get treated before discharge.
Let me ask Dottie Kelly Paddock. Hauula has a lot of cesspools, and are you concerned about this reform basically costing people in your community a lot of money that they can't afford.
It's absolutely true. Our community has probably almost a cesspool in each home. There are a lot fewer septic tanks than there are cesspools. And it's because our community is very old. People can't afford to put in a new system like a septic tank. It's very expensive. And most of the people in Hau'ula, have cesspools, I'm sure. The numbers reflect that. So it's sad. I think people don't even think about it because people live in family homes that they've lived in for generations, and that's the way it's always been. So there's not a lot of education about cesspools, and people don't think about it until you go to maybe upgrade your house or build a new house. Then, of course, you have to put in a septic tank.
Well, that was the next I was going to ask Sina Pruder. So what are the alternatives that are out there for an individual family that might want to change it? Or is this something that does have to be government moving into an area and basically replacing the existing sewage system? Or are there alternatives between the industrialized sewer system and maybe individualized sanitary systems?
So
I know it's a big question, but
no, but then there are options. So like to replace the cesspool, you can replace it with a septic tank system and leach field, or
do you mind telling me what each of those are?
Okay, so a septic tank is pretty much just like a tank that has a 2-compartment tank, and where actually raw sewage goes into it. And what it does is it's just a settling tank where it kind of separates solids from the wastewater. And then solids, settle to the ground, to the bottom of the tank. And then liquid actually exits the septic tank into what they have, what they call like leach fields. And leach fields are like dispersal fields, where you can land apply. It's pretty much land applying the effluent, and the leach field actually provides treatment because it does provide, some filtration, in it.
But that's just the water, and the solids are remaining in the tank.
Yeah, so the solids remain in the tank, and depending on the usage of the septic tanks, it's usually recommended for homeowners to pump it out, the solids, within 2 to 5 years. If you have, high usage, it's more like 2 years.
So when we see pumpers going down the street, they're going to be pumping septic tanks? Is that what they do?
So actually they do pump septic tanks, but they also are pumping cesspools that have failed. Because over the years, so, how I talked about cesspools that are closer to the ocean, it's actually just discharging into groundwater because there is no soil, on the bottom. It's just discharging to groundwater. But as you move inland, there is more soil, so groundwater is actually deeper. But because you have soil, but over time...
it just all collapses together.
Well, what wastewater does is because it has solids in there, and then what it does is it actually clogs the pores of the soil, so that over time that your whole cesspool is actually clogged with solids. So then that's why you see, like a lot of these people, pumping out their cesspools like once they can pump it out like every 2 weeks or once a week, because now their cesspool is just a holding tank.
And they're paying for that.
Oh yeah, and it's very expensive. A pump out can cost between $300 to $500 a pump out.
Let me go back to Ramsey Mansour. Where do you see as, for example, on the Big Island, what do you see most of those folks with cesspools having to do in the next 15, 20 years as 2050 approaches?
Well, currently we are working on a master plan for cesspool conversion for the entire island. So the intent for that master plan, you could log into our system once the program, the master plan is completed, and we'll give you an idea of what options you have at your disposal. Because we have so many decentralized areas, right? So we got areas and communities, we don't have a waste treatment plant. And we don't have any services to them. So it's going to be site specific. We're going to recommend some of the IWSs, which is individual wastewater system. That's going to allow for some
septic or leach field, basically. Yeah.
There's two systems. One we refer to as ATU, which is aerobic treatment units, which gives you a better treatment for the effluent than the septic and leach field.
I just remembered Stuart Coleman, your nonprofit deals with these kinds of solutions. Is there any other new technology coming down the pipe that, again, pardon the pun, that would...
in this business, everything's a pun.
Everything's a pun. I'll just stop. Yeah. So is there new technology coming that might solve this problem? Because that's what I always want.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, technology can't solve everything, but that was part of why we were founded. We were serving the cesspool conversion working group with Sina and Ramsey, and we realized we need new technology here because traditional septic systems don't do what's called denitrification, getting rid of the nitrogen and the phosphorus. And new studies have just come out in Nature, and I have an article coming out in Hawaii Business Magazine this week about the nitrogen the nutrient loading on the coral reefs will kill the coral reefs, eventually, because it leads to algal overgrowth, and then with decreasing fish populations, the reef is starting to die. And so they just have this long study, and so we're really emphasizing it can't just be a septic system, especially if you're near the coast, that it has to do denitrification.
Let me ask though, as an environmentalist, why aren't the reefs dead already? I mean, the stuff's been coming out for decades and decades and decades. Are we reaching a tipping point where the ocean can't handle it anymore?
That's exactly it. We've reached a tipping point. So Puako, for instance, on the Big Island,
Puako.
Dr. Greg Asner did this study. He was the senior author with Jamie Gove that just came out in Nature. And in his lifetime, over 50 years, Puako had 70% reef cover. And mostly due to wastewater nutrient loading, because there's not ag specifically in that area, it's gone down to 7%. So just a dramatic decline. Malaya Bay in Maui went from around 60% coral reef cover to about 8%. So we're talking about precipitous, dramatic declines in coral reef coverage.
In addition to that, I think, you talked about why not before and why now. Bubulation, the growth, a human, right? I mean, back 50 years ago, we didn't have that many people as we have now. Yeah. In addition to that, nitrogen is not only bad for our reef, it's for our drinking water. Baby blue syndromes, you probably heard of it. If you have high nitrogen making it to your groundwater wells, could create that baby blue syndromes. That's why you want to make sure that nitrogen is being treated before it makes it to the groundwater as well.
Let me ask, Dottie, when you start talking about these big picture things, environmental pollution and everything else, does that work in getting someone to invest money in something to replace their cesspool? What arguments work in your community, do you think, to get people to actually spend the money, or ultimately, do they going to have to be subsidized to the full degree of changing these systems out, do you think?
Most of the people, at least half of the people in our community, would have to be subsidized because these systems are not inexpensive. It's going to cost somebody in each house $20,000 to $40,000. And it's also complicated because not everybody understands this process. The state had a program where you could get $20,000, I think it was. And what happened, and I talked to people in our community about that program, the permitting takes so long that it runs beyond the time limit for that program. And so there are lots of glitches because most people they don't have $20,000 sitting in their bank account that they can put out for this.
Let me ask Sina. I understand Sina Pruder from the Health Department. Is that program in your division? And I do have a question that I want to read to respect our viewers. Abraham from Waimanalo. I still have a cesspool where I live and was supposed to participate with DOH pilot grant program of $20,000 to replace it. It's a programmed upgrade. So far, they have been unfriendly and uncooperative. They need to be more lenient. Are there lots of hoops for people to jump through? I mean, how do you respond to that, or can we do this better, or what do you think?
So we actually are, managing or administrating the grant program. The legislature actually appropriated $5 million in the last session, 2022, for the Department of Health to administer a grant program, which would allow, for cesspools that are actually in a priority 1 and 2 areas that was, ranked in the risk assessment study that was part of the cesspool conversion working group. So what happened is that, we did actually open up the grant program March 2023, but it was there was such a overwhelming response to this grant program that within 3 days we actually were able to select the 225 grant recipients. But then it also means that we actually have a long list of, wait lists of people, that, wanted to do it. So, so already there is that need, or that desire that they want a subsidy, for the grant program. But, I did talk to a lot of the people who were the grantees, because one of the things that they didn't encounter was what the cost would be for the upgrades of their cesspool. So they thought, oh yeah, $20,000, I think that this is going to pay for the upgrade. But a lot of them said, well, I think, we probably won't be able to actually take this grant because, we're finding that, the cost to upgrade is $40,000, $50,000, and, they just can't find that funds.
Oh, so $20,000 does not cover it at all?
No, $20,000, yeah, it was only supposed to subsidize maybe half, because it's costing a lot of homeowners between $30 to $50. I mean, it can cost actually over $50 because a lot of it is site specific. Because if you have Blue Rock, or if you have a tight property, where you need heavy equipment to go in, it can cost even up to $100,000, I mean.
You need to import some soil for your leach field.
Yeah, so.
And you have to bring it from somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's a huge issue. There's specific types of soil that we need that does the best filtration, and there's not a lot of it. So that's a business opportunity for these quarries and soil providers, is that we need this thing called ASTM C33 sand. It's a specific type, and
and on the Big Island we don't have the soil; it's all lava rocks.
Yeah, that was
So
one of
that's
the
a
questions I got. What's the plans to deal with cesspools in the Puna district on Hawaii Island, where the ground is essentially hard lava rock? The Big Island, as I understand, I did get another question. Someone was asking what per capita, which island has the most cesspools. Is that the Big Island, and
that is.
How did that develop in that way? There's a lot of people off the grid on the Big Island, but these aren't people all off the grid.
No, it's not. We have about 55,000. That's based on what we have on the data, but probably in reality,
cesspools.
55,000 on the Big Island.
But we have a total of 83. The whole.
So we have more than
half.
We have more than 60%.
But I can
kind of
explain why they have the 55,000, because in 1991, cesspools were actually banned, in Kauai, Oahu, Maui, but not on the Big Island. Because of certain lawmakers, and they said we needed more time for constituents and then there was this deal made where, okay, they said we're gonna ban cesspools in 2000.
But
Okay.
this is banning new cesspools,
Yeah,
right?
and the construction
I
of
think
new
2016 was the deadline.
Well, no,
I
no,
don't know even if they stopped.
yeah, but it was supposed to be 2000. But then when you had like the mayor, the mayor and the governor, at that time, because we went in and we put in rules to actually ban new cesspools on the Big Island in 2000. Pushback again, there was big pushback, and no one really wanted to touch it, and those rules just sat on our table, and it wasn't until 2014. Where we actually had like on our side, we had like Gary Gill, who was our deputy director, and he was like pushing us to like say, okay, we're gonna do something about these cesspools. We're gonna try to ban them this time, statewide. And then he also wanted to do a point of sale, where it's like if you're going to sell your property,
right?
Yeah, you're going to.
Because that's when you have the opportunity to refinance whatever.
Exactly.
Improvement
Like it's successful in other states, but again, there's opposition to that.
They didn't pass, right?
Well, that didn't pass, but but in 2014, we tried to do that, tried to pass it, but it was at the end of Governor Abercrombie's administration. Kind of hard to pass this bill when when he was like leaving office, so that just sat on his table.
It must be tremendously frustrating for you to know that this problem exists and see new cesspools being put in because you haven't been able to. I mean, are we still installing new cesspools to this day? No. Okay, they're banned now.
No, it was banned.
I think by 2016,
March of 2016.
We made a lot of good progress, starting in 2016, passing Act 120, and then banning cesspools, and then Act 125 said they all had to be converted by 2050, which sounds like great progress. And then Act 132 created the cesspool conversion working group that we were in. But 2050, all the new research says is the coral reefs won't last that long. Like in a lot of these areas, they won't work. So we have to really have earlier deadlines for priority 1 areas.
Well, let me ask that question, and Ramsey Mansour, perhaps. What are the? I mean, you have to identify priority areas. You can't do this all at once. So how are you identifying priority areas? What are your priority areas on the Big Island? Are there places where probably a cesspool isn't doing any damage because it's so far away from everything?
Sure. As part of the cesspool committee, the Department of Health, we created this kind of book, in a sense, that report that came out of that committee, and identified the priority areas for the entire state. Our county, we have 3 priority areas, which is Kailua, Kona, and Pu'uko. That's priority number 1.
And then what's that based on? Is it just based on being closest to the ocean?
Closest to the ocean, have impact to groundwater, water United States, the ocean, the reef, the drinking water, streams. So the University of Hawaii did the study, actually, hydrology, and they monitored the flow through actual, certain dye study within the cesspools that they were able to track.
Wow.
And find out the results.
So
it's a huge thing, definitely.
So let me just start to interrupt you, because if I don't do this, I'm going to lose track of my train of thought. Is that of the 50,000 cesspools you have on your island, how many of them are in this priority 1 area, for example, just to give people a sense?
Right. Priority 1 area, I think it's about 12,000 total.
I think it was 12,000 with combination of 1 and 2. But actually, I think it was probably only like 5,000, maybe.
5,000 along Pu'uko area,
yeah,
Kona, but the one we concentrated on, around 12,000 probably. The rest is priority 3. The question for Puna district, it's priority 3.
Okay, so
it's zone 1 and zone 2.
Go ahead. Sorry.
On Oahu, isn't Hau'ula in the priority 1 area?
Yep, I believe Hawaii.
And that's why the program. Did you open the program only to priority 1?
Priority 1 and Priority 2.
This is the $20,000
Yep.
subsidy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Priority 1 and Priority 2.
If you were going to do it again, would you do it the same way? It seems like to me you'd want to really go after that Priority 1 and help people get through that as much as they
But
can.
here's the challenge. It's not only the 20,000, because you could be within Priority 1, but you could connect to a treatment plan, because you have to look at the options. So if you have sewer collection system with sewer pipes nearby Priority number 1.
We don't have that.
No, I know, but I'm saying it's, if, statewide, because that $20,000 came in to assist either connection or conversion. So, but you're right, if you don't have it, so your option would be put a septic with a leach field.
Right.
Why is it that Hauula doesn't have a sewage system?
Right. That's a good question. Who can answer that?
I'll take a stab at that.
Well,
what we have is we kind of have an extreme in the state, is that we had all these individual systems, and then in the city areas and the capitals of the counties, we have sewer in there. But sewering is the most expensive. It's like $1 million a mile to lay that pipe. It's got to be gravity, and you're disrupting roads. And so in places like Hauula, where you're just right on the coast, there's one lane and it's 2 lanes, one road in, one road out. It's like you can't do that, especially with sea level rise. So what we're trying to say is there is something in the middle, decentralized systems.
Well, as I was going to say, like you have a microsystem that serves a community.
Yeah.
But aren't those really expensive?
They can be, but they're always going to be less than.
It's actually, it's $5 million a mile, not $1 million a mile. It's $5 million. It costs you to build a sewer system, which I found out on the Big Island because rocks, $1,000 to $1,500 a foot. 12-inch, you got to pay $1,000 to install it.
A foot?
A foot.
Why?
Because it goes back to my earlier statement. The state of Hawaii is very expensive when it comes to construction.
Okay.
You've got limited contractors, limited products. You're dealing with lava rocks, blue rocks you have to excavate through. You got high level groundwater. You have to dewater to be able to get in there and put your sewer pipe. So a lot of engineering challenges that comes with the construction.
Isn't there federal funding available?
We have been trying to chase every dollar that we could, federal, state, and what have you.
Yeah, there's not
there is,
much.
but it's not much.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me ask, Sina, first I got a couple of editorial comments that I appreciate. Laura, by email, this whole situation sounds disgusting and untenable. How can we pass laws banning the sale of sunscreen to protect our reefs but drag our heels on building waste treatment plants? This situation is ridiculous. I don't know that that's far from wrong. We're way too slow in fixing the problem for our own health and our economic health. We need to prioritize this. Sina Pruder, if someone said, here's a blank check, and you could at least take care of priority 1 areas, how much would it cost?
Okay, well, for
I know this is a wildly crazy question.
No, but for 83,000 cesspools, it's like
$2.6 billion.
No, it's actually more than
Yeah.
it's actually more than that. It's actually just based on like the pricing that I'm like getting from the grant program. At first when it was estimated at $2 million, we're using a conservative figure of 20,000. But knowing that it's between 30 and 50,000, it went from like 2 billion to 4 billion for the 83,000 cesspools. For priority 1, I believe there were only, I think there were like, was it like 20,000 cesspools that were considered priority 1? So that would be 1/4 of the, like a 1/4 of the cost, of the 4 billion. Oh, so that's $1 billion.
$1 billion.
You start really talking about real money.
Yeah.
See, that you got a balance between affordable housing versus infrastructure.
This is the question that they all do different things, right? So it's not really fair to do this, I think, but because it's a policy question. But anonymous person from Honolulu says, I've been working in the wastewater industry for 30 years. You guys probably know who this is because there's not that many. The problem is that city leaders are putting monies into things like rail and not enough monies into the infrastructure and upgrading the sewer system. But aren't we putting billions of dollars into the sewer system now? I mean,
the city and
into,
county,
into the existing city and county system because of the secondary treatment off of.
Not only that, we still under consent decree when I was working for a city and county, and there's billions of dollars are being spent now for
collected and spent.
Yeah, and
to upgrade the facilities we have within the city and county.
The sewer system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're using. Here's the thing that is kind of mind blowing for me is we're using a system that is a 19th century model, where we pipe this sewage miles and miles and miles. We spend, the Sand Island wastewater treatment plant where the consent decree is, almost $2 billion to treat it. And then
put it all in one place.
And then we pump it out into the ocean. Nothing is reused, whereas there are models now, and this is, working with the Gates Foundation and kind of these technology companies around the world, you can reuse 100% of it. And so for like Lahaina, we in Ma'alaya, Maui, we proposed 100% recycling of the wastewater and the sludge to create biochar out of the sludge, which is a soil amendment, and then create a green belt, which also serves as a fire break around the area. And so this is something where we could use that wastewater productively. And we had actually kind of suggested this to Maui County during that lawsuit, the injection wells case. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the ideas. We said, hey, why don't you use this and create reservoirs where you have this in these dry areas above Lahaina that in case there are fires.
It sounds lovely, but what's the timeline on something like that, and how does that roll out to the rest of these communities? I mean, is 2050 a reasonable deadline to replace systems with things like that?
I think it has to be much before that, like just for the coral reefs. I don't think we can wait that long. And so I think there are urgent issues that we could, I think, really push against the federal government to say, hey, Hawaii can't do this. The counties can't do this by themselves. And it's for the sake of our protection of our coral reefs and the health of our drinking water, we're going to need federal support to do this.
Is there federal money pending out there, or have there been requests, and what happens with that? There was a big infrastructure bill, I know. Get anything out of that?
We actually didn't even get that much. I mean, everyone says, oh yeah, there's like millions of dollars that are getting infused into the state. So like Department of Health, our wastewater branch, I also administer the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. And through that bipartisan infrastructure law grant, we received $12 million.
See, wastewater is not a sexy thing.
No.
Right? You talk
Definitely
about
not.
Yeah. So you talk about infrastructure. When you talk about infrastructure, you're talking about roadway, water system. Even when you talk about Clean Water Act, look at the title, Clean Water Act, not wastewater funding, because it goes into the water, drinking water funding. And everybody forgets about the wastewater. I think we need to rebrand that. Mm-hmm. Rebranding the name maybe will get us more money.
Yeah. And that's our unofficial slogan, making sanitation sexy again.
Yeah.
Which is
I think it's easier to replace all the cesspools.
Exactly.
Nobody want to talk about it. Nobody want to touch it, right?
But exactly. And it's but it is a measure of a society how well they deal with their waste. And so like plastic pollution, when we started that, no one talked about that. No one cared. But through a youth movement and building it, now it is considered like one of the biggest problems, and everybody addresses it. And wastewater is the same thing. If you Google how many times it was mentioned in the last 5 years, it is a steep curve because we ignored it for too long. And now people are going, we cannot kick this can down the road any further. It has to be dealt with now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, Dottie, that this is resonating in these communities? I mean, is your community saying, we do need to do something like this, but we don't have the tools to do it? Do you think
Absolutely.
there's a consensus?
People understand what's happening. They see the brown water out there. And we have about 8 streams in Hauula. So, and homes are built all along those streams, and you can smell it. And that's pretty bad. So, and I'm sure it's degrading our reefs as well, you know, and it's, if you can smell it going out into the ocean, that's outrageous. But that's happening, and we need help with funding. Let's go to the feds, whatever we have to do, because we've got to make some big changes. It's not just Hau'ula. There's Hau'ula. I know we're a priority one, but Ka'ava doesn't have a wastewater plant. Punaluu doesn't have a wastewater plant. You know, Kahalu.
I agree. The federal government needs to start looking at the state of Hawaii, and there's so much money up there. Well, I mean, this is a major health environmental issue.
Okay. Yeah, I have.
To me, is we need to start getting some of that funding instead of giving it somewhere else.
Go ahead. You were gonna say
Yeah, so like, I mean, people are not going to, I mean, especially like lawmakers, you know, because I do bring it up when I have the opportunity to do so. Water and wastewater infrastructure in the state is significantly like underfunded, you know, really. I mean, why do you think you see all of these like water breaks? It's because, you know, the Board of Water Supply, they don't actually have the funding to do replacement when you're supposed to. So, you know, it just breaks. And then you mentioned earlier rail, right? Excise tax. I mean, and then the only way you're going to get the billions of dollars to fund infrastructure, which we need infrastructure, water and wastewater, and even for affordable homes. I mean, just the state, you know, and the only way you're going to do it is you may have to slightly do an increase in the excise tax. People don't want to hear it, but we need, this is critical infrastructure, you know, that we need to invest in, right? And everyone talks about like, oh yeah, we want to replace, you know, we want to replace cesspools, you know, we want funding for wastewater and water infrastructure, but there's only like talk, but there's nothing, no action taken to actually find, you know, or, you know, to find solutions of, you know, where the money is going to come from.
You know, let me ask this question, and I think with almost all of these issues that we deal with on this program, understanding the financing schemes is pretty can get very technical, but just to keep it simple, I bet you folks in Hau'ula, your water bill is going to be the same kind of water bill I get, right?
Absolutely.
However much water I use, I pay to the sewer system. It doesn't even connect to you.
Right.
So you're paying for a sewer system that you don't have access to.
Right.
And then they're going to tell you, okay, now pay to replace your system with something else, and you'll still be paying into it. I'm paying into it. I've got a traditional house, a traditional arrangement, but we've got a system in this state where people are paying for wastewater treatment.
Right. It's all wrapped into one payment.
But is that all going in the right direction, or is it just not enough? I mean,
I think,
Ramsey?
you know, coming from different, I've been in this business a long time enough to understand that if you get paid for a service, you should get the service, because I don't think it's legal to charge you for something that you're not getting. So if you're paying for it, maybe you should demand, you guys, your community should demand, and they should build something for you, or at least convert your cesspool to septic. Because you're already paying for it, if that's, if you're paying for it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that they're already paying. I mean, I think I'm paying $100 something a month for my sewer system. You probably are too.
Wait, let me clarify that.
I don't
think so. You're
I don't
not
know
paying
if
sewer fees. You're
you're
paying
not-
water, but if
We're
you're
paying
not on,
water.
if you're not on
they're
sewer,
talking about, I don't know if this is coming down the road, but they are talking about wastewater coming off your, just water coming off of your property
Yeah,
and
stormwater.
charging you for that.
Stormwater, yeah.
Stormwater.
That's
fees.
different.
Which
Stormwater
is different.
Okay, wait. Let's not get confused.
Yeah,
But-
stormwater is different.
But how would they differentiate on an Oahu water bill whether you're paying a sewer bill or
it's
not?
a separate fee.
I know, but so are you saying that she's not paying?
She's
it?
not. If she's not on the sewer, she doesn't have to pay. And so, the one aspect of this thing that's a little broken is that the people who do the right thing, you know, or are on sewer or upgrade, they're paying, but people on sewer are not paying.
And cesspools are not paying.
And on cesspools, yeah. People on cesspools are not paying. And so that's one thing that I think needs to change is like everybody needs to contribute. Like it's just a sign of a civilized society. Like we treat our water.
Okay, let me just do this. This is tricky. So Dottie, though, so let's assume that, I know that you thought so, but let's assume that they say, okay, for you folks in Hauula, instead of you not paying to the sewer system, you start paying to the sewer system, and the government then comes up with a sewer system for you in some form, some technology. Would that be more tenable to the community than being forced to replace a cesspool?
Yes, I think it would be a whole lot less, and people could pay a monthly bill, not $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
It might not be less, though. It might just be
It's over time.
Yeah.
Over time.
And community paying, not just individuals paying.
Right, Chapter 32 allows you to create a sewer community district. So you could create a sewer community district where your government, the entity, the county or city and county, will fund it through bonds. And then they take that capital cost and they divvy up the capital cost over the number of residents within that community. There is certain systems, but it comes
over
to
time.
a cost.
But it's as Dottie said, I think she, it's like over time, because no one, like almost none of us can afford a $40,000 conversion. Like most people don't have that disposable income. But if you pay like, a monthly fee
over 40
time,
years.
yeah, you can do it. Everybody could, do it.
That's why it's so much, it's why it's so much easier if you have a new house. Right. If you have a new house, it's part of your payment for your home.
Let me ask, Sita, how close are we? Are people using this tool that Ramsey's describing? Are there progress in these communities towards these sort of community solutions?
I haven't seen any yet, and a lot of it is because there's no funding, to do it.
Doesn't sound like there's much education going on either.
Yeah, I know. And then actually we are working on.
It's not on you. I'm just saying.
No.
I mean, here we are. I'm just going, wow.
No.
I'm a reporter. I should know this stuff.
Yeah, awareness. I mean, when I came back, was thinking after our last lead session, which all the cesspool bills were not passed. And then I was contemplating, I was thinking what do we really need to do? And I'm like, you know what, we never really developed a really good outreach plan for education and awareness. I mean, that is something that, by trying to develop something like that, a lot of people do know about cesspools, but everyone in the state needs to know about cesspools, right? And then when you can get that awareness, then you might be able to get the buy-in. Of how, these cesspools are impacting, the environment and public health.
Not only, in addition to that, we kicking the can down the road to your kids, your grandkids. Think about it. The people that thought of it 50 years ago, now who's picking up the cost of $2 billion? So you keep kicking that, it's going to be $20 billion. Yeah. So we got to find a solution.
Right.
So I've got a number of questions about technology that I think are interesting. And again, I think that we've gotten to a place where it seems like everyone kind of agrees this idea of forcing a lot of individuals to buy their own. It's just not going to work. I mean, it just doesn't seem, unless they get it paid for completely by the government, which doesn't seem to want to pay for it. So now you're starting to look at what are the alternatives out there where communities can work together. And so has anyone considered multiple composting systems to manage wastewater is one question. Bacteria and enzymes are being studied and used in some places to treat septic system effluent. That's Kathleen. Do any of the panelists have information on chlorine dioxide and its use for sewage? That's Dennis from Maui. Okay. I think that's enough to start with. Stuart, I mean, what do you see out there as the most promising way of dealing with these communities that might be able to work together or be brought together to bear on this?
Yeah, we have our big fourth annual Innovations in Sanitation convening coming up in less than 2 weeks. And you know, our biggest themes are.
At least you came up with a sexy title.
Exactly, right? Come on. Yeah. Who doesn't want to attend that? And so our biggest themes are the need for denitrification, like we talked about earlier, and then decentralization. And, you know, there are some areas that are so remote where houses are too far apart, like just some areas of the North Shore of Oahu, where you are going to have to do individual systems. It would be too expensive. But then there are also areas in Waialua, which is a priority 1 area, where they're so close together, and it's like that is just a no-brainer to do decentralized mechanisms. And so there's one called a Prelos model, pressurized liquid-only sewer. And so you have a tank, but a lot of these homes don't have enough space for the leach field. So you go to the tank, but then it only pumps from the liquid zone, the clear zone that Sina was talking about earlier.
It's a shared tank.
Yeah, and then it pumps just using PVC pipe. So you don't need to dig up the streets. It can go right under the surface. So that's one area that we think is really promising. But then also packaged plants, because the big price that comes from these centralized municipal systems, you know, that they're underground and they're just hundreds of millions of dollars, you know. These are packaged plants, and you can just lay a concrete slab, and it's a high level of treatment like MBR. And so MBR is a membrane bioreactor, and so it's like one of the highest forms of treatment. Yeah, exactly. It gets a little technical. But these kind of decentralized models are going to be cheaper, more efficient, and then you can reuse the water. That's the most important thing. Like, let's not waste this water, especially on, you know, leeward sides of the island that are so dry, and we have so much scrub and fuel that's just waiting to catch fire. Like, let's use that wastewater, get it in the ground, replenish the aquifer, and you know, use it as a fire
reuse. Yeah. And then go ahead.
Well, so you're talking about communities. What can a community do to push this effort in our communities? Say out in our priority area there in Kolaloa. What can we do?
Yeah, so it's a great question, because I think, you know, Ramsey touched on it earlier. Creating a sewer improvement district, a special district, I think is going to be the most important thing, and that can be done in one or two ways. You can have, like, the people, if 55% of the population says we want to do this, the rest has to go along, or the county council can declare this.
We're unincorporated, of course, like all of Hawaii, and so it seems to me we're going to have to work with the city.
Yeah, I think that was
because they're going to provide you with the funding
right
under Chapter 32. So what you do, you create the community leadership, and you probably need to get about 67% acceptance from the community members, because some of them probably going to change their mind, they're going to drop out. So you need solid 55%. Robust.
It's like a condo association in a way.
But we don't
exactly.
Yeah.
There's no formal way to do that I know of.
You're gonna knock at doors. That's what we have other communities.
You've got to tell the city that you have 65% of.
Yeah, first you need to get your community to agree, get the votes, then go meet with the city, say, I want to try to utilize this, you know, that aspect of Chapter 32 where I'm going to create the sewer district for my community.
Is there anybody out there doing that?
I think it's simultaneous, because you need to get the support of the people, but I think it'll also be faster if it's done through the county council. But, you know, the county council is not going to just do it on their own unless the people want to do it. And so I think
we work with the county council a lot.
Yeah.
So
and
and you need to work with the finance department.
See, now let me go to Sina Perdue for a little bit. How is the relationship between the state and the counties? I mean, so I understand the wastewater branch in many ways is like an enforcement branch, right? You make sure that they are following all the rules that they're supposed to be following, but you're also trying to educate and improve the whole system holistically, but you can't do it without the counties going along. Are the counties on board with what has to happen with this whole cesspool renovation thing, pretty much?
I think they are, and like Ramsey, you know, he's over there like trying to do a wastewater management plan, you know, that you know, trying to figure out solutions for cesspools. I know City and County of Honolulu with Dr. Roger Babcock, he's doing the same thing for Oahu. The other islands, I think they're kind of like struggling, you know, Maui and Kauai. So, you know, and being part of that cesspool conversion working group, you know, stakeholders were actually the county wastewater division representatives. So, you know, I think because of that, it's kind of like ownership that this is not a state problem. I mean, you know, just state only problem. It's, you know, state and counties, we actually have to work together, you know, to find a solution, you know, because the state can't do it by themselves.
I do have a real quick question, a couple quick questions. How serious is the cesspool issue on islands besides the Big Island? What about upcountry Maui, for example? Ramsey, have you been keeping track of other islands as well, or who?
Yeah, through the cesspool committee. You know, Maui, I think it's probably about 5% unsewered. So most of Maui, actually, they have sewer system. So the numbers is between Oahu and Maui, they're probably the two county within the state. They have a good sewer system.
But upcountry Maui is a problem, and there was a study done, and they showed, you know, we were talking about earlier the blue baby syndrome, that there were elevated rates of nitrogen in the drinking water, and so, you know, it is something in Hawaii Paradise Park, which you have one of the highest densities Maui Meadows on Maui. You know, the nitrogen from the wastewater can get in the drinking water, and the private drinking water wells in Hawaii Paradise Park, 50% of the ones they sampled showed fecal indicator bacteria. Now, if that doesn't gross you out and get you into action,
but imagine in addition to that, imagine having your own private well within that area. What do you think you're going to pump out of that well?
Yeah. Let me finish
stuff,
with Cena. Just to give us a sense of optimism, do you feel like we are going to be able to solve this problem? We've only got about a minute. Do you think we're going to be able to do this?
It's going to be hard. I think with I'm thinking, you know, at least if we're taking steps moving forward, you know, at least, you know, small baby steps, and you got to keep on moving. You know, we can't just like let it stop. You know, I mean, I don't think all 83,000 cesspools are going to be upgraded in in 2050, but there has to be moving, you know, and it can't just stop. So.
But it sounds like you've been a person trying to push this, and it sounds like you got a little frustration.
Not frustration. Actually, I'm actually kind of happy because at first in 2014, it was like me and maybe two of my other staffs, you know, in Department of Health. But then there's actually a lot more like stakeholders, which I'm like really happy, you know, because it's not just me doing it. It's actually.
And you've got all these people here.
Yeah.
I actually have to stop now. We've hit the end of our program, but great job. Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. And we thank our guests, Sina Pruder, the Department of Health's Wastewater Branch Chief, Dottie Kelly Paddock, President of the Hau'ula Community Association, Ramsey Manzoor, the Director of the Department of Environmental Management for the County of Hawaii, and Stuart Coleman, Executive Director of WY, Wastewater Alternatives and Innovations. Next week on Insights, recent studies have shown that Hawaii went from 34th to 44th in the nation for the economic well-being of children. What is being done to reverse that trend and help our keiki thrive? Please join us then for Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Daryl Huff. Aloha.
Local broadcasts of Insights on PBS Hawaii are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo, and by First Insurance Company of Hawaii, protecting Hawaii's families and businesses since 1911. Ulupono Initiative, building a more sustainable Hawaii by investing in local food, renewable energy, clean transportation, and waste and freshwater management. Hawaiian Electric, helping residents and businesses prepare for hurricane season. Visit hawaiianelectric.com/safety to get your emergency preparedness handbook. Carl Smith Ball, providing legal services throughout Hawaii and the Pacific since 1857, making a positive difference in the communities where we